Well, welcome to another episode of the That's My Dad podcast. Got one of my old high school buddies, Todd Walker, in the studio. Welcome, Todd. Glad you can make it,
Thank
man.
you, Scott. I think you're younger than I am.
I am younger than you.
Yes,
we're
I'm
not gonna go into
59,
that.
so
Yeah.
but I know you are.
yeah. We're 3 years apart now.
Okay.
It's amazing that the old high school, there's a few people came out did all right from considering where we came from, right?
You know what? I think about that often, and there were some really good kids that came out of that time frame and that era over there.
It was an era where you didn't see some of the things you see today. I mean, it was a very racially, socially, class mixed kind of a thing. And,
yes, sir.
We joke about the way you could tell where people lived was the kids who paid full lunch lived on the mountain.
I often say that. Yes,
the kids who were on
I didn't live on the mountain. I grew up on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah, well, me too. The kids that were on reduced lunch lived in what we call Alabama City and Walnut Park.
Yeah, that's good.
We kind of joke about it because in high school we could say, you pay full price for your lunch? And if they said yeah, you say,
you know where you live?
No, we say, hey, where's your daddy work?
Goodyear.
Yeah, all the good jobs.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't really that bad. None of us were poor. Really, when you think about it, none of us were poor.
No, we weren't. I think we didn't have as much as we thought we did, but man, my dad just did a great job of providing for my family.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. We weren't poor.
And it was I have so many wonderful friends and memories from high school, and we just got along. We got along well and had a great time. And to this day, would do anything for each other, but not a lot of people listening to the podcast really care about any of that. So what they care about is fathers. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to inspire our guys to become good fathers and great dads. There's a problem in our society with fatherlessness. I call it the worst pandemic we've ever faced.
Yes.
There's 18.4 million children will go to bed tonight in the United States without a father in the home. And I know you're involved in the jail ministry.
Yes.
So you see some of that. You want to comment on that? How is that what's the correlation there between fatherlessness and crime and that sort of thing?
Well, obviously there is that correlation, and I talk to a lot of those guys and try to figure out, what their background was, because I want to know them. I want to figure out this story. There's always a backstory to why they're there. And, Scott, too, a lot of it is generational. My dad was in jail. My grandfather was in jail. And so you see a lot of that, too, those generational things that follow these guys. But, a lot of them, they did not have a father. There's a great pastor. His name is Joe Simmons, and I love Joe. And he heads up a fatherhood initiative at the jail and does a tremendous job with that. And we just started back at because of the pandemic, and for the last several years no one's been allowed to come in, but Joe's come back in, and he's come back in with that fatherhood initiative, and I really like that, and that's going to be that's going to change their lives. And so you're right, a lot of those background stories are that there was no father in the home. Absolutely.
So you did have a dad in your home.
Yes.
I want you to take us back and just kind of tell our listeners your story.
I had a great dad growing up. Grew up in Alabama City, and my dad, he was a milkman.
Really?
Yeah. He began working at Barber Dairy. Well, it's Mellow Dairy at the time, but later on became Barber Dairies. And my dad began working as a milkman at 1963, and he has just recently retired. Wow. And so one of the things that, I was thinking about, my dad taught me was hard work, good work ethics. 11 years old, I was out mowing grass with my lawnmower, looking for a neighbor's yard to mow. And then he would take me over there to the dairy over on Knuckle Street in East Gadsden, and he would let me wash the trucks, the milk trucks. And so my dad worked hard. He wasn't always around. But he made the effort to be there when he could. Mm-hmm. But he was a hard worker and taught me a lot of good work ethics. Absolutely. Yeah.
So did you feel like you had a good childhood?
Yes. Yeah, it was a good childhood because, and I loved growing up in Alabama City.
Yeah. Same place I grew up.
Come on. And it was a great place to live. I was out there in the woods with my BB gun, my little Honda 50, and with my Army men. Yeah. And so I would play there on the side of the hill with Stephen Yeager and Stephen Yeager, Tommy Yeager and Stephen Elliott, and we had a great time out there growing up. So my childhood was good. I enjoyed being outside, and we would play till the sun went down. Mm-hmm. And I remember Dad, he had this whistle that I could hear probably half a mile away, and I'm not kidding. And so when it was time for us to come in, my dad would always whistle, it's time for supper. And
we always wondered who that was with the whistle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you remember anything that your dad did that just really made a huge impression on you? Was there some particular incident that you remember?
Thought about that. I think one of the things that really had a great impression on me growing up at 6 years of age, I broke my femur bone. I was I'm trying to think of Jennifer's last name. It doesn't matter, but I was at my grandmother's house, and we were out playing, and over there in Alabama City, and I think it's on Kershaw Avenue, and the yard that she lived in was kind of rolling a little bit, and so I was just out there. We were all playing, and I jumped, and when I jumped, I guess I landed wrong, and I snapped my femur in two, and I tried to stand up, and it felt like I was standing up in a hole, and so of course I had to go to the hospital, and I spent 30 days in traction at the hospital, and my dad had to work a lot to provide for our family, but he would stay there with me every single night there at the hospital, and then get up very early to go and work. And I wasn't the best patient because just some fear probably tried to take over at that point in my life. And so I was very fearful there at the hospital, staying there, and I would not let him out of my sight. And just thinking back about that, about the great sacrifice that he made, even during those times, and there were many more than that, but that was one of those things that he loved me, immensely, and was always there to provide. My dad was a provider, a very strong provider, and so I think that was one of the memories that I remember him. Helping me out and being my hero, I guess you call it.
What have you carried on that you learned from him in your journey as a father? What did you learn from him that you think is important to pass on to your kids?
Yeah, my dad was faithful to his family. He was committed. He was a hard worker. One of the things I'll never forget is when Dad would come home at night and from work, he would always go in and give Mom a kiss. I always remember every time. I remember him puckering up and reaching over and kissing Linda, and that had an effect on me too, watching that. I think dads need to show their children that they love their wife. And so
what do you think that does for the kids?
Oh, man, you know what it does? It provides security. That's how that child sees that, and they think everything is okay. Because there's so many parents that do fight, and that's, the nature of the home, and you see a lot of fighting and fighting, and I never saw a lot of that. Of course, we had our own problems, like everybody does, but that provided me the security that I needed to know that everything was going to be okay because Mom just kissed Dad, and therefore their relationship is good, and therefore I can enjoy being a child. And I remember Mom and Dad's marriage certificate being on the wall.
Wow.
In the bedroom. And I still remember it. I can still see it in my mind. and it brought comfort. It brought commitment. They've done things right. My mom and dad are in this for life, because that's what I think. When you get married, you get married for life. And so there's that certificate on the wall saying that they're married for life.
So it actually meant something to you to see that
Absolutely
certificate.
It did. Absolutely.
Somebody criticized one of our mutual friends, Mark Price.
Yeah, I know Mark.
But we had an episode of the podcast where we talked about the importance of marriage, and somebody gave an honest opinion, which I appreciate, and they said, it's not necessary.
Okay.
And what I want to say is, tell that to the mortgage to the banker. It's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, let's just shake hands on that.
It's just a piece of paper.
Right.
Go buy a car. And why is it that cars and houses are now more important than children?
Wow.
Our kids need the security. And you talked about your dad coming in and kissing your mom.
Yeah.
And what the message that sent to you is that we're going to be around. There's some stability here.
Yes.
The team's not going to be changing coaches.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
Tell me what your family is like. What do you do as a father to try to pass on those values and the things that your dad gave to you?
One of the things I think that I would tell you and tell anybody right now is that being a parent, well, of course, there's no manual, but you have to be committed to those children and show them truly unconditional love. That has been a key in parenthood to me, is just unconditional love. Come and tell me the truth. If you'll just tell me the truth, I can work through that. And my girls have been very faithful in doing that. Even through the hard things that they would maybe have to share with me at times, they did that, and we showed them that love, And so unconditional love has to be shown to those children.
What do you think a father's impact is on daughters, particularly?
Wow. I wish we could have my daughters here to say that. You've got this project that's called That's My Dad. And I was thinking about that. And Sailor, she was getting together names of her children. You know how the girls are. Mm-hmm. They write down the names of the kids they're going to have. Mm-hmm. And Walker and I think Todd were in that was part of her names that she had for boys. And I thought, wow, that did something to my heart, just knowing that she would want to, name a child after me. Mm. I don't know why that spoke to me in such a way, but when your thing says That's My Dad, and I want my girls to look at me and say That's my dad.
Was there anything in particular that you wish you'd done different?
I wish we had prayed more together. You can work at building a church and all those things, but I wish that I had prayed more with my girls. I prayed for them, but I wish we had read the Bible more and prayed together. And I know that's telling on myself, but it is being real. And I can't blame the fact that wasn't in my own home. Growing up, my mom and dad did the best they could, working hard and raising us. But I wish that I wish that I had prayed more and read the Bible together more. You rely on the church to do a lot of that work, mm-hmm. and that needs to be done more inside the home.
I want to give you a chance to speak to your children. Just all of them, not individually, but just
sure.
Tell them what they mean to you,
and
what you hope that they have learned from you.
Yeah, I found a little letter just scribbled on a note from McCall, my oldest daughter, and I just found it in my office this week, and it said, "Dad, I love you," and it really touched my heart, and I kept it. I'm gonna keep that, and so I would say to them that I love them more than anything, and that they're I have some good girls, I have some great girls, and just thank you, for working so hard and being such an incredible blessing to me. Yeah.
Wow. I want you to address the young man out there who's struggling.
Yeah.
And give him some hope,
Sure.
some instruction, some inspiration. Look in that camera right there.
Okay.
And let's just talk to that young man for a minute.
I meet some guys even at the jail, and they wanna live in their past. You cannot allow your past to define you. It's not that the past is not there. It's not that trouble's not there, but you cannot allow that to control your life. And here's the thought that I have about that, is that you have got to allow those experiences to make you better, not bitter. Listen, it doesn't matter. Pick up the pieces, move on, get close to God, learn from those mistakes, and go on and be the person that God has called you to be.
I want to give you a chance, Todd, to pay honor to your dad. He's 81 years old.
Yes.
And he's hanging around with us.
He is.
I know you think the world of him, and
yeah.
I'm going to give you this chance to look in the camera and just say what you want to say to your dad.
I love the fact that I'm here today and doing the That's My Dad project. So honored by that. My Dad, I just want to, David Walker, I just want to thank you so much for being faithful, for being committed, for raising me in church, for the hard work ethic that you taught me. It has blessed me in my life, and I've heard you say to me even recently, Dad, that you're proud of me, and you will not believe how much that has affected my life. So I'm so thankful that you're proud of me, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you. And I just wish you many, many more years. Thank you so much for being committed to my family and for finishing well. And I'll always be here for you. And I just bless you today, Dad.
Todd, we had a young guest in the podcast, and I asked him, his children were 7 and 5.
Okay.
And I said, what do you want your children to say about you when they're 18 and whatever?
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, sure.
And he answered, but you're at the point in your life that you don't have to wonder what they would say, because we got a little gift so that you'd know what they would say about you. And we'd like to share that with you now.
Wow.
Hey, Dad. I just wanted to quickly share one of my favorite memories of you from growing up. And I remember when I was 16 and started driving myself to school every morning, you would always have my coffee sitting on the counter for me with like sugar and cream in it, just like I liked it. And during the winter months, you would always have my car cranked and getting heated up, like ready to go. And you were so consistent with it, and it's not a huge grand gesture, but it is just something that you did every single day that made me feel loved, and it made me feel seen. And I just love that about you. You're so good at that. Just in the small mundane things, you always really just made me feel like you were thinking of me. And that meant a lot to me, and it's something that I hope to carry into parenthood myself. But anyways, yeah, you're a great dad, and I love you so much.
Dad, I just want to thank you for who you are. You're the most selfless person that I know, and you have always made your girls your priority. You're very giving, and you're always there for us when we need it. And even if it's completely out of your way, if it makes our life easier, you always do it. I just remember when I was in high school, and I'll get a text from you every Sunday night, and you would say, hey, what would you like from the store? What do you want for the week? And you would buy it all, and you would have it ready for me every morning, whatever I wanted. And you would make me coffee just how I like it. It'd be waiting for me.
This coffee thing going on.
And you truly spoiled me. So thank you for all that you've done for me. And
I did.
I'm very appreciative of you. I love you.
Oh, sweet.
Dad, I want to thank you for being faithful. Just so thankful that through the years you have always kept your word. You've always been a steady, humble, honorable man. And I am just so thankful to call you my dad. Thankful for you never giving up, even when times get hard. And I have seen you and Mom walk through some really hard things in life. And you've helped me walk through really hard things in my life. And I am just so thankful for just the knowledge that you have, and that you've always gone after God for everything. And I know that my relationship with the Lord would not be where it is today if it wasn't for you and just your heart for Him. And I am forever grateful for that. And I'm so thankful that Kai has you for a pops and that he's going to get to learn and just as I did, and even more for the future. And I'm just thankful for your ministry and everything that you've given to God. And I'm just thankful for that. And we love you so much.
Todd, I just want to thank you for your love and your support for family. You have been such a godly example to our girls for what a father and what a husband should look like. When the Bible says that a man should love his wife as Christ loved the church, you have done that so incredibly well with me and with our girls. You've loved them that way. Your consistency just in being faithful to just always be a good man. It has just been, it feels at times effortless for you, but at the same time, I know the sacrifices that you've had to make, and you've always been so willing to put yourself last for your family to be first. And that just means the world to me. I love you. You've got such a good heart. And I really do believe that, just like the song from years ago that used to say, I want to be a man that you would write about. If the Bible were still being written today, I believe you would totally be in it. Your story would be in it because of your faithfulness and your love for Him. And so I love you and thank you so much for always just being there for the girls, doing everyday things that just has consistently built a strong foundation for our family to stand on. I love you with all my heart. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so honored to be your wife.
That's good. Thank you.
You want to respond to that?
Oh, my Lord. Oh, wow. You know, my response to that is I think the things that I've been trying to portray today is what they saw. And it's so simple, just being faithful, being committed, doing the things day in and day out, the mundane things that I think that does build the foundation. That is so good. It's not always, you know, some people just think that, you know, life's supposed to be a party all the time, and I love to have a good time. And you know, but it's just that everyday things that, you know, nobody gets an applause for that builds that foundation for that home.
Consistency.
It has to be, Scott.
Do the right thing, be there, be consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here in this little room today and affecting so many people.
Yeah.
My favorite singer is Stephen Curtis Chapman. I was going to be like him one day, but the Lord called me to preach instead. So he blessed my daughters that they would sing. And he had this little song that he said, in this little room, you know, in these little rooms, we get to affect the world. Yeah. And being here with you today is such an honor, but you don't realize the impact that doing something like this, Scott, makes on families and men. And let's do that, Lord. I just say, do that, Lord. Go out today and do that with this commitment that they're making, that you're making. Go out and do something, Lord, that would change our community and the lives of those that are listening. Do something, God. And so that would be my prayer.
Mine too.
For you. Because when you give away, you get back. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to get back. I believe we've been blessed beyond measure. And I feel like this little podcast that we have is, I'm humbled that God has given us just a little piece of being able to be useful. Absolutely. So, I love it.
Well, that'll conclude this episode of the That's My Dad podcast, where we're inspiring fathers to be great dads, and we're breaking cycles of generational fatherlessness. Yes. Thanks, Todd, for being here. We'll see you next week.